Welcome to this webcast devoted to the benefits of APL64. Here we will highlight some of the important advantages of APL64, APL Now's newest product, developed for the 64-bit environment. APL64 has excellent compatibility with APL+Win. It was designed to simplify the transition for APL+Win users. For example, users can load and run an APL+Win workspace in APL64 in many cases with minimal or no modification required. Click on the Help, APL+Win Compatibility menu item for more details. In APL64, the maximum workspace size is up to the available workstation memory, permitting the creation and processing of multiple large APL variables. In APL+Win, the maximum workspace size is less than 3.7 GB. APL64 supports increased variable size. As a comparison, the maximum homogeneous variable size in APL64 is over 2 billion elements in a variable. In APL+Win, the maximum homogeneous variable size is less than 2 GB and in practice is 500 MB or less. After an APL64 project primitive or system function is implemented and tested, it is considered for performance optimization. These optimizations have yielded significant performance improvements. Performance optimizations are an ongoing process. A document of graphs comparing APL64 performance to APL+Win performance in many areas can be found at the URL displayed on the screen. Here we see two illustrations of superior performance in APL64 as compared to APL+Win. Optimizations applied to both float index of integer vector and integer inner product show significant reduction in time in APL64. Note that performance results will vary depending on the user-provided environment. The new Unified Variable Editor in APL64 can review and edit an APL variable of any type, including heterogeneous and nested variables. The APL+Win graphical editor is limited to simple text or simple numeric variable editing. APL64 provides transparent support for Unicode characters and character scalars, vectors, matrices, and arrays throughout the system. For compatibility, Quad AV has the same content as an APL+Win. Unicode glyphs in APL64 variables or functions will be directly displayed in the APL64 developer version. Use the QuadNFE system function to read or write Unicode data in native files. Often it is convenient to associate multiple APL executable statements into a script, which is executed en masse. A new line character is used to separate the rows of a multi-line executable APL statement to improve readability. Once executed, multi-row APL executable statements are identified in the history pane as a unit. Multi-row APL executable statements may be manually entered or pasted into the APL64 command line. There is no need for an APL64 runtime version or workspace in APL64. In APL64, the runtime executable utility will package application workspaces and other supporting application files into a single executable file which includes the APL64 engine. All features of APL64, which are available in the Windows operating system environment, may be used by the APL64 programmer in the development of an APL64 runtime application. The APL64 programmer creates the main APL64 workspace containing a Quad LX to start the application. Here we see the APL64 Create Windows Runtime Executable screen. The APL64 workspace and other application-specific files are combined with the APL64 engine into a single, easy-to-deploy runtime file containing the following: the APL64 runtime component, the APL64 XML format configuration file, the APL programmer created, runtime-ready APL64 workspace, the .NET components for the Windows operating system. The APL Now 32 components to support the Win32 features of APL64 including Quad WI, Quad WCall, Quad NI. The other APL programmer provided application-specific files. The published APL64 runtime executable is self-contained, including all the necessary components of a complete APL64-based Windows application, so that it can be run via a double left mouse click or incorporate into a Windows program shortcut. Depending on developer preference, tool tips are presented when the mouse hovers over a toolbar button, a menu item, and input field or history or an editor or debugger pane in an APL64 developer version instance. New system functions were created in APL64 to access relational databases using structured query language. Quad SQL for Microsoft SQL Server, Quad SQL DB for IBM DB2, Quad SQL for Oracle MySQL, and Quad SQLite for SQLite. Documentation and extensive examples are provided in the Help, APL Language SQL System Functions menu. QuadDSS is a new system function for editing an APL array of rank 2 or less in a graphical worksheet editor. Data in an APL variable can be used to fill selected rows or columns of a worksheet. Data in selected rows or columns of a worksheet can be used to create or update an APL variable. A QuadDSS editor is not modal, so multiple QuadDSS editors may be created and data may be pasted between a QuadDSS editor and other areas of the APL64 developer GUI, including other QuadDSS editors, the history pane and the command line, as well as other Windows applications. Write per any DSS is a new system command for editing an APL array of rank 2 or less in a graphical worksheet editor. This system command is analogous to the QuadDSS system function. An APL64 cross-platform component is a NuGet package containing a .NET Core assembly which exposes one or more APL64 programmer-defined public functions in the workspace. This package may be used as part of a containing .NET application to support the APL business rules or algorithms of the application. Any .NET programming language may be used to access the APL64 cross-platform component in a hardware and operating system environment which supports Microsoft .NET Standard version 2.1. Refer to the menu Help, Developer Version GUI, Create Cross-Platform Component for the documentation and the menu options, Create .NET Runtime Assembly, Create Cross-Platform Component for the GUI to create the cross-platform component. Here we see the GUI used to create the cross-platform component. Use the Google search engine in APL64 to find user-selected text in the APL64 developer version documentation. Here is a sample of the many new system functions exclusive to APL64. Details of all APL64 system functions can be found in the user documentation. A comprehensive document detailing the many new features found in APL64 can be found at the URL shown on the screen. This presentation provided a sampling of the many substantial benefits in this, our newest APL product. To experience firsthand the benefits discussed, plus many others, contact sales@apl2000.com to purchase an APL2000 subscription. Please check out the other webcasts in the APL64 webcast library to get a closer look at APL64 features. Thank you for viewing this video. If you have questions or comments, please contact support@apl2000.com.